All right, ready when you are, Sam.
Fire away.
Okay, cool. Welcome to our practice today. Short practice with a focus on leg activation. John and I are in the same household, so I do not need to social distance from him. We're going to start at the top of the mat. So top of the mat in your standing Tadasana, mountain posture. Start by being relatively loose in your grounding and loose in your legs. And then as you start to activate your thighs, quadriceps, hamstrings, inner and outer thighs, notice how that changes your sense of grounding, your sense of stability. Yeah, keep that nice looseness across the shoulder space. Maybe you're taking a little bit of movement through the shoulders, through the neck, but feel that grounded stability through those firmer legs, translating through to your feet. Become aware of your breath. Allow that breath to start to settle into a comfortable, evenly paced rhythm for your practice. We're just going to explore a few rounds of half vinyasa. So taking that final exhale here with those arms to the side. And again, as you sink into that grounding, arms rising up with that inhale, upward arms. Hinging from the hips into your forward fold. Knees nice and soft here. Feeling that front body to thigh. Lengthen the chest away, half fold that flat upper back. Forward fold more deeply through that exhale. Again, soft knees. Capture the half fold on your way all the way up, sweeping those arms wide and skyward. Arms returning to the sides with your exhale. And let's try that again. Focus on that inhale of that upper back arch as you really firm up the legs to support that lift. Keep that sense of front space as you hinge into that fold. Lengthen away for your half fold with that in-breath. That deeper connection, belly rib by rib to thigh with that exhale, the chin tuck. Capture the half fold, firm grounding through the legs. Feel how your hamstrings contribute. Arms to the side with your exhale. We start the same way again. Inhale skyward. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Ardha Uttanasana, half fold, lengthen, extend the way. As the hands come down, we step back to a plank pose now, and then hold there. Fire up those legs all the way around. Reach out through the heels, lengthen along the spine, the gaze is down, engaging shoulders and all that core support all the way around the torso. Take your lowering, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, but then we're completely lowering to the floor, tops of the feet to the floor. Cobra is that pull forward, dragging the energy of the hands back. And we'll do that another couple of times. So tucking that chin, forehead facing down. Fire up those legs more. Activate those hamstrings in particular. Maybe you feel the glutes light up, as well as low belly, pelvic floor. One final time. Engage pelvic floor, low belly, but also work those legs. Transition into your downward facing dog pose. First downward dog, so we're going to move into a bit of pedaling through the feet. So one knee bends more deeply, giving the space for that opposite heel to reach a little more deeply. Keep those hips back so that push through the hands, space across shoulders, steady breath. So again, aware of that difference as you give the space with one knee bending, how you find that extra reach through the opposite side. We're going to be stepping forward with that right foot into a low lunge. So your inhale brings that right foot forward, and then we can land that left knee, top of the foot down. Crescent lunge with that inhale. Hands coming to heart as you twist towards that front knee. Holding that twist, opening across heart space, fire up those shoulder blades, gliding down the back. We're going to play with that engagement of that front thigh hamstring space. Feel that that front foot is pushing a little forward ahead of you, and then feel that you're dragging the foot back in the direction of the heel, and notice that difference in hamstring engagement. Option to tuck back toes, lifting off the back knee. You don't need to, but you could try and see how that feels. Again, holding that sense of pulling back with that front foot as that back heel reaches away in that lifted lunge variation. Steady inhale. If knee is lifted, allow it to come back down to the floor. Coming out of the twist on inhale as arms reaching skyward, and then coming forward, stepping back once more into downward facing dog pose. Notice how the back of the legs are feeling now with the practice you've done so far. If you feel you want to do a couple of pedals through, go ahead and do that. Maybe both knees soften a little and both heels reach a little. And then preparing to step that left foot forward with that next inhale. Gaze where it's going as you land that foot down. And then that right knee top of the foot. Inhale draws that sweeping skyward for crescent lunge. Hands coming together as we twist towards that front knee side. Settle into that. Feel that grounding. Make sure that front foot is in line with hip. Not too close into midline so you have that stability. Hug and narrow that hip line towards your center. And then again, that play with the action of the front foot. Initially, that sense of pushing it away from you ahead, and then that drag back with the heel to activate that hamstring a bit more. Steady breath, open across the heart. Option to tuck back toes and lift off of that back heel. Your practice, your choices. Keep control of the movement. Strong, smooth breath. Again, that sense of that front heel pulling a little back. If knee is lifted with exhale, allow it to lower back down to floor. Coming out of the twist with inhale, arms reaching skyward. Again, hands down, stepping back into your downward facing dog pose. Check in again. How are the back of the legs feeling? Lots of length for the back of that torso as well. We're going to lower to the knees from here, sitting back on the heels if that's okay, tops of the feet to the floor. Or you can stay lifted in high knees if that's better for you. We're going to work with a kneeling vinyasa practice. So your feet are going to be relatively close to that back edge of the mat, so you've got room ahead of you for an extended child pose. Taking your exhale here. As the arms sweep forward and up, we lift to high knees. Feel the hamstrings, how they contribute. As the hips move back, we lower, controlled, into an extended child pose. Float the hands down. Rocking up to all fours for that cat dip. Tailbone gaze, lift. Rounding the back for that cat curl, pushing through, tucking that tailbone. Take that opposite action, front body stretch with your inhale. Neutral spine as those hips start to shift back towards those heels again for extended child. Before you rise, float the hands away from the floor and then rise all the way up. Maybe the arms come wide rather than overhead. And then arms coming forward and down as you slowly draw back to those heels, waking up those hamstrings. We're going to take that again. Inhale, slow, controlled, rising up, minimum momentum. Hips move back as you float down. Keep that chest nice and broad. All fours for that cat stretch, front body stretch. Option to round the back or to move into downward dog with your next exhale. Straight back to all fours if you were in your downward dog. We're all in that front body stretch again, that cat dip. Tops of feet to the floor as we push back to extended child pose. Remember, your next move is torso lifting up. Engage through the shoulders to lift those arms. Open the heart, pushing through those shins, work those hamstrings. And then hamstrings again, control that descent of the sit bones to the heels with arms lowering. We'll take part of that again. We start the same way, rising through the inhale. Extended child with your exhale. All four, front body stretch with that inhale. Downward facing dog pose now with that exhale. And then again, just noticing how that's feeling from your downward facing dog pose. We've been here a few times already. Notice how things are changing. We're going to step the feet halfway forward towards the hands so that you can land the heels. And you should feel that there's a lot more weight in the feet than there are in the hands. Feel free to come up onto fingertips here if you prefer. And then keeping heels to the ground, bend one knee more deeply and then stretch out and straighten that opposite leg. You'll feel the movement through the pelvis as you take alternate sides. So moving from side to side. One knee bends more deeply, allowing space for that other leg to straighten a bit more. And just notice how this feels here. So finish up that final set to each side. And then with soft knees to the center, walk the hands towards the feet and roll yourself up with that tailbone tucked, the knees bent through the hips, slowly rolling yourself up. And then once you're upright, a few easeful, loose, releasing movement, whatever feels nice. We're going to work a little bit with a balance sequence here, and again, play with noticing how we can really engage and activate those legs as well as rely on the support of the core. So we're going to start with a lateral bend, but let's from feet parallel under the line of the hips. Weight transfers to that left leg as you step the right foot behind and let it cross over behind. And then spread the weight between both feet. And then be really loose in your grounding like we started the practice. Then fire up those thighs all the way around and feel how it pushes you into your ground. Arms to the side of the body as you exhale. Right arm sweeping skyward with that inhale. Firm legs support the pelvis as you move into that side angle. Lateral bend. Inhale, upright. Once more, move into that side stretch with exhale. Upright with inhale. Arm releases with exhale. Steady breath as you uncross that back foot, but keep it behind. Toes to the floor, foot in line with hip. Now we lift that opposite left arm skyward, right hand stays along the outside of the leg. As you exhale, start to tilt the torso forward as you simultaneously lift the back leg. So a bit of a warrior three practice dynamically. Your inhale brings you back upright, the toe taps down. One more time as we take that dynamic movement forward. Maybe you lift a little higher. Coming out of it with that inhale. You can keep this going, or next time you pivot into that warrior three action, you can hold that. Notice on the lifting right side how that side of the pelvis wants to rise up. Rotate it down so hip crease is facing down. Your choice of where arm position is. From this pose, we are going to be transitioning into eagle pose. With your next inhale, start to lift upright, back knee will bend to clear the floor, and it comes over the top to squeeze on top of that thigh. Elbows bent coming forward, right underneath left, and then taking that bind of hands or merely fingertips to the outside of shoulders. Squeeze and activate those legs. Treat them as a single unit. All the way around, both thighs working. Front rib cage muscles hug in a little. We're going to exit and open to a star pose with next inhale starting to spread your wings, open that leg. Maybe you lift off the grounded heel. Maybe not. And then release down. Take a few releasing movements before we take that sequence to the other side. A little wiggly. Connect to your practice, how things are feeling. Connect to that steady breath once more. Feet hip distance apart. We're going to prepare for that lateral bend on the other side. So weight into right leg as that left leg comes behind and crosses over behind. Again, start with a sense of very looseness, not very well connected to your ground. And then build it up from those thighs. Really engage all around those thighs and feel it push down into the ground. Your exhale, arms to the side. Left arm sweeping wide and high with your inhale. And then move into that side bend with your exhale, pushing into ground. Keep that solid stability through the hips and the legs. The inhale brings you upright. And one more time, exhale, fire up those legs, push into your ground. Upright with inhale. Arm releases to the side with that exhale. Steady breath as you uncross the back leg, but keep the foot behind, toe to the floor. Inhale is opposite, right arm rising up, left arm stays to the side of the body. And then as you start to tip forward with torso, the back leg levers up behind. Be aware of what's happening through that left hip. Inhale to come out of it. Keep that movement dynamic one more time. Fire up the legs to help control that alignment through the pelvis. And next time you're coming into it, you could stay with the dynamic work, or you can work with just holding that warrior three, working on that leg activation, grounded standing leg as well as lifted leg. Trying to level out that pelvis is really hard work. Work your breath, feed yourself that energy. We've got that eagle exit on an inhale where we start to lift upright, back knee bends, clears the floor, and it comes forward and hugs the thigh. Squeeze them as a single unit as the elbows come forward, left underneath right. Take your time setting that up, steady focus. Steady breath, narrow that hip space. Treat those legs as a single unit, fire up that energy. A little bit of engagement of those front abdominal muscles. We exit into star on that inhale, slow and controlled, open out, maybe lifting up, maybe, and then releasing down. Again, a few releasing movements there, well done. And then once more coming to a moment of stillness, Tadasana. We started our practice here. Check in. Again, a bit of engagement through the legs to connect into your grounding. A sense of space and softness across that chest, across the shoulders. Relax the jaw, soften through the face. Eyes closed or steady drishti gaze point. We're going to work into some Utkatasana chair pose variations with a twist and an optional balance in the pose. So as you inhale, sweep those arms wide and skyward. Palms meet as you draw hands to heart space and you sink into your chair pose. Pause here on your inhale. Soften front ribs into body. Lengthen and lift through the spine. Engage inner thighs as you twist towards that right side. Maybe the hips sink down a little lower. Maybe you feel connection, arm against outer thigh. Notice on that left side how the hip thigh bone wants to shoot forward. Pull it a little back to even it out. Optional balance challenge here is that left foot starting to pick up behind you, engaging the hamstring to draw the heel closer up towards that left sit bone. So you're balancing through that right side. And then the toe tapping down. So working with that exhale, hamstring engagement to lift the heel a little higher, toe tapping down. John refers to this section of the program as the killer part. One last time, and then land the foot next to it. Use your inhale to come to center and lift yourself all the way up. Take a nice big stretch here because you're right back down and moving into that twist to the other side with your exhale, twisting left. Again, notice what that right hip wants to do. It wants to come with you. Pull that back. Keep that twist higher up through rib cage. Open through the heart space. You can stay here, come out if you feel, whenever you feel you need to. Pull that right hip back. And then that option to start to float that right foot behind you up away as though you're trying to pick that heel up towards sit bone. And then allow that toe to lightly tap and find the floor behind you. And a couple more times, if you like, it's your practice. And then after that third breath, the foot comes down next to that grounded left foot. Your next inhale is coming to center, reaching up for that stretch. And then arms coming through that center line and down to the sides of the body. Again, a few releasing movements there. Well done. Glad I wasn't doing that. I just had the idea. Okay, forward in your Tadasana. Steady drishti, gaze point. Again, a little bit of stability provided by that light leg engagement. Space through the torso, space for breath. Exhale here. Arms sweep skyward on your inhale. Uttanasana, forward fold with your exhale. How does it feel now? Half fold with that inhale, extend, open. Stepping back to your plank pose and you're lowering down through exhale. Cobra or up dog with your inhale. That upper back arch, opening chest. Downward facing dog pose with your exhale. So we're back into downward dog again. Notice how it feels now. Again, this is back body stretch, isn't it? The whole of the back of the torso, the back of the legs. Steady breath. And after that final exhale there, allow the knees to come down to the floor. Take your time to transition onto a seat. And maybe you want to work with a block underneath you or some lift or a rolled mat or a blanket. So we start with your Dandasana pose. So legs are extended, but maybe the knees are soft and bent. Prioritize that lengthening as the hands move down either side of those sit bones. Open across the chest, slide those shoulder blades gently down the back. Feel the connection through the middle of the sit bones that lifts and lengthens that torso upright. And exhale into that grounding. Inhale is sweeping arms forward and skyward. Maybe the knees bend more as you start to lay belly and rib by rib down for your forward fold. Think about where you take that hand grab. Maybe it's the lower legs, ankles, or feet. So there's no sense of pull across that upper back through that mid-back space. Yes, it's a back body stretch for sure. No sense of strain though. Feel as though you're spreading the stretch across the whole of that back body. All of the back of the torso as well as the back of the legs. So what have you chosen in terms of knee bend for yourself and why? And through the next few breaths, could that change in any way? So that you feel you're spreading that stretch more evenly through legs and through torso. Western stretch, Paschimottanasana. Steady breath. Think about half fold shape as you next inhale and lift that heart up higher, belly still connected. And then lifting the rest of the way up with your exhale. Hands can start to come behind. You're going to lower your back onto the floor with the knees bent and the feet to the floor. We're preparing for Setu Bandhasana, so a shoulder bridge variation. Those heels are going to come fairly close to sit bones, hip distance apart and parallel to each other. Open across the chest, feel the shoulder blades connect to the floor. And again, we're going to have a little bit of play with engaging through those legs. Take an inhale, be soft through the belly. Maybe you feel the low back release away from the floor. Tuck that tailbone under as you exhale and start to peel that spine up away from the floor. We're going to hold that lift. So staying lifted, let's play with that feet again. So as you're lifted, feel that you're pushing the feet away from you towards that far end of the mat. And then that drag back action. Feel that you're trying to pull those heels closer in towards the hips, closer in towards the shoulders. Notice that difference. So hamstrings, also inner outer thighs, quads work here too. Can you keep that sense of drag back as you slowly, one vertebrae at a time, start to lower that spine down? As you lower that back, can you land the low back by engaging those buttock muscles? Yeah. Take a resting breath there, and we're going to take that again. So on that next exhale, tucking that tailbone under, can you feel the sense of the drag back as you rise up, pulling the heels back towards you, though they're not moving? Holding that lift. See how it feels to reach the arms up, fingertips to the ceiling. As you retain that sense of drag back with the heels, also engaging inner, outer thighs. Steady breath. And maybe those arms stay lifted as you lower yourself back down. Again, can you keep that sense lightly of those heels pulling back, tucking that tailbone under as you land? And then once you've landed, you can release those arms to the side. Take a breath there. So for a final lift, there's an option on that next inhale to reach those arms back up, fingertips skyward, to see what it feels like to lift with the arms up. And then we exhale into that lift. Again, that same exploration with the feet, noticing how it changes that leg activation and that support. You've lost the support, the stability of the arms. Can you find it by engaging through those legs? And then you're lowering down, maybe arms coming down in conjunction, in synchronicity with that spine lowering. Well done. And then from there, you can hug those legs in towards you, take some gentle movements, some gentle, maybe a gentle rock from side to side. And then move the hands to be behind those thighs as the feet lift a little higher up to create that space. Rub along those hamstrings. Well done, hamstrings. And then as we played with in our downward dog and with our standing forward fold, we're going to keep one knee bent as one heel reaches more skyward. So legs straightening up a little more. Bend the other knee as much as you want. And then we're going to swap that over. So again, just notice how that feels. And maybe it feels different in terms of how much length, how much room there is one leg versus another. So just another couple of times there. And then with knees bent, we can land the feet a comfortable distance to the floor, away from sit bones. And the feet are wide, preparing to wiper those knees from side to side. Arms can sweep out to the floor a little away. And then it's nice to take that exhale to take the knees over to one side, and the in-breath to bring them to center. Working alternate sides, option to turn that head away. So we bring some movement and release through the neck. So a twist. Also bringing some movement through those hip joints. A simple movement, but the breath still directing and shaping that movement. So finish up that final set of wipering the knees. And then as you settle into your pose for some moments of relaxation, some rest, find that position. Maybe it doesn't feel nice to have legs extended. Maybe it feels nicer for the sacrum, the low back, to have the knees supported with something under them. Give yourself a sense of space and a sense of being supported. So bringing in that sense of space all through the face and the shoulders. Rest the arms. Soften all through the back. Feel it spread out through the floor. Give your breath space. Soften through the hips, through the pelvis. And those thighs all the way around that we're working, let them go. Relax the legs. Maybe you feel those toes fall a little more outward. Bring in that sense of space. And feel free to stay here in your relaxation for as long as you wish to be here. It was a short practice, but perhaps you're feeling the intensity of it. Let the body have enough time to absorb the benefit of your practice. But we will leave you here. Thank you for your practice today. Namaste.